Chicago's defense is about to go through the biggest overhaul it has seen in years. An elite pass rusher could be coming in a trade that would shake the entire NFL, but the price is flat out brutal. At the same time, a Bears linebacker has 3 teams chasing hard, and there is cap space on the line that could flip the whole picture. And in free agency, there is real buzz about a surprise arrival nobody saw coming and a departure that is going to break a lot of hearts in this fan base. Stick around till the end. Day Bears are not done yet. News 1, MAXX Crosby. What is going down in Indianapolis right now is flat out wild. Listen up, because what I am about to tell you is coming straight out of the hallways, the bars, and the restaurants at the NFL Combine, and the name every front office in the league keeps bringing up is the same one Chicago fans have been dying to hear for weeks now. MAXX Crosby, the most dominant pass rusher in the AFC, the one who has every quarterback shook every time that cleat hits the grass, is available, and available in a way none of us thought we would be hearing this soon. RAPOPORT, one of the most trusted and respected insiders in the entire NFL, went on live from Indianapolis during the Combine coverage on NFL Network, and the way that was laid out was clear as that ice-cold winter wind off the lake in Chi-Town. Rapoport said that in the bars, the restaurants and the hallways at the NFL Combine, there are a whole lot of conversations happening around MAXX Crosby right now, and then dropped a line that gave me chills. Crosby's future is up in the air for the Las Vegas Raiders. So let me throw this at every Bears fan listening. How many times have we watched this team let chances like this slip by just because the organization did not have the guts to pull the trigger? How many seasons have we sat there watching NFC North quarterbacks dance out of our pass rush like there was zero heat coming? That ends the second MAXX Crosby walks into Soldier Field. A player of that caliber lined up with Montez Sweat would be the scariest pass rushing duo the monsters of the Midway have had since the Urlacher and Peppers days. That is not hype, that is just reality, but here comes the part that has the whole Chicago fan base chewing down their nails. The Raiders have gone public saying they want to keep Crosby and expect to have that name on the roster. But Crosby has not said a single word back. There have been signs that the recovery from injury is coming along, but when it comes to that contract situation and that future in Vegas, it has been radio silence. And Rapoport spelled it out. There are teams straight up wondering if Crosby really wants to stay a Raider. That silence, Chicago, is louder than any press conference. Now here's where it gets tough. And it breaks the heart a little while it makes you think. Crosby is not coming cheap, not even close. Rapoport compared the package the Raiders would ask for to what it would take to move someone like Micah Parsons. And if you know anything about this league, you know that means opening talks at a minimum of 2 first-round picks, plus players and extra draft capital on top. This is not a regular trade. This would be the biggest swing Ryan Poles has ever taken as general manager of the Chicago Bears. So let me ask you straight up, does it make sense? The Bears have Caleb Williams with a competitive window that is just getting started. That 2025 season was straight magic, 11 wins. A playoff W against the hated Packers, the cardiac Bears flipping games that everybody had already chalked up as losses. But it was also a season that exposed the defense, only 35 sacks all year, with Montez Sweat carrying almost a third of that production on those shoulders alone. You put Crosby on the other side, those numbers blow up in a way, no offense, in the NFC North is ready to handle. This is easily the toughest call Poles has had to make since getting to Chicago. The whole build so far has been through the draft, keeping flexibility, refusing to burn premium picks. A Crosby deal would flip that philosophy overnight. And right now, the Bears are sitting roughly between $5.3 and $6.4 million over a salary cap of $301.2 million. That means that before March 11th hits, when the new league year opens, Chicago has to clear space first before even thinking about a blockbuster like this. But if the Bears actually pull that move, they are telling the whole league one thing loud and clear. The window is right now. This is not about 3 years from now. This is about going all in today. And honestly, with Caleb Williams running this show, that might make all the sense in the world. This city deserves a winner. This city deserves an elite pass rusher, and if MAXX Crosby is really out there, Ryan Poles has to at least be in the mix. The question I want in your head before we move on is this: do you think Poles is going to be willing to pay that kind of price for Crosby? Because if that deal happens, Chi-Town is never going to be the same. And if that already has you shaken with adrenaline, buckle up because the Bears defense has another explosive move brewing as we speak. News 2, Tremaine Edmunds. Chicago is not done yet, and there is another story that rocked the entire Navy and Orange crowd this week, and this one comes from inside the Bears' own locker room. On February 25th, it was reported that the Chicago Bears gave linebacker Tremaine Edmunds permission to actively look for a trade. And when that first dropped, a lot of people had the exact same reaction. Why even bother? Why would anybody trade for a player who is probably going to get cut anyway? Here's the thing, never underestimate the NFL trade market. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, another one of those insiders everybody in the league listens to, just reported something that completely flipped the view on this situation. Fowler said straight up that Tremaine Edmunds has strong trade value and a decent chance of being moved. And then came the list of teams. The Tennessee Titans, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the New York Giants are all franchises that have been looking at high-end linebackers and like Edmunds. Now that changes things, right? We're no longer talking about a player that is just going to be cut loose with the value evaporating into thin air. We're talking about a 27-year-old with 8 NFL seasons under the belt, still has gas left in the tank, and there are legit teams ready to pay to get that name onto their depth chart. That says a lot about what Edmunds still brings to the table. Now, keeping it real, because we always keep it 100 around here, Fowler also made it clear the return is not going to be massive. You're probably looking at a late third-round pick or maybe a swap of late rounders. That is about as far as this goes, but ask yourself this, what sounds better, a third-round pick, even if it is late, or just cutting Edmunds and getting 0 back? The math is simple. In this case, something beats nothing every time, but the biggest part of this whole thing is not even the pick. The real impact is on the cap. Cutting or trading Tremaine Edmunds saves the Bears $15 million in cap space. And with this organization currently sitting over the cap and free agency only days away, those $15 million are absolutely critical for Ryan Poles to have room to maneuver. Moving Edmunds always felt like the only move that made sense. From the second word got out that the front office was open to a trade, you could see where this was heading. Edmunds is a good player, no doubt, but that contract does not match the new financial reality of a team that has to free up space to reload other spots, especially on the defensive line and in the secondary. And if on top of freeing that cap space, Chicago could snag a draft pick, even a late round one, that is a win for Poles. Let's spell out who is interested and why it fits. The Titans are rebuilding and need steady veterans to anchor the defense while the young guys develop. The Raiders, who we already mentioned with MAXX Crosby, badly need stability at linebacker. And the Giants, who have been a mess on defense the past few years, see Edmunds as someone who could walk in and be the immediate leader of that unit. 3 teams with real needs, 3 teams seeing value where a lot of people in Chicago only saw a cap problem. With the legal tampering window opening in just 8 days, I would expect the Edmunds situation to get wrapped up this very week. The clock is ticking, free agency is right around the corner, and the Bears need clarity on this roster before the open market chaos hits. If Poles can pull off an Edmunds trade before March 11th, that would be one of the smartest moves of this entire offseason. Clear cap, add draft capital, check both boxes at once. That is exactly what Chicago needs right now. But even with that, the Bears offseason roster story is nowhere near done. If you think the linebacker spot is the only thing moving on this defense, you are way off. There is more on deck, and it is coming up right now. News 3, Logan Hall and Nahshon Wright. Here's where things get really interesting for every Monsters of the Midway diehard, because we are talking about 2 moves that could completely reshape what this defense looks like heading into the 2026 season. One is a possible addition that has real league-wide buzz. The other is a likely exit that stings a bit but makes perfect sense financially and strategically. Let's start with the possible arrival. When the 2026 free agency period officially opens on March 11th, one name the Bears could be locked in on is Logan Hall, defensive lineman from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I already know what some people are thinking. Logan Hall, who is that? Let me stop you right there. If you think this is just a throw-in rotational body, you are flat out wrong. Hall stands 6 feet 6, weighs 283 pounds, and turns 26 in April. Tampa Bay drafted that name with pick number 33 in the 2022 draft, early in the second round, which already tells you the level of talent. Over 4 seasons with the Bucks, there have been 66 games played, 39 starts, 101 total tackles, and 10 sacks. In 2024, there was a breakout year, 5.5 sacks, 28 tackles, and 10 quarterback hits. On top of that, Hall played at least 51% of Tampa's defensive snaps in each of the last 2 seasons. That is not some random rotational guy, that is a worker. Brad Biggs from the Chicago Tribune, one of the reporters who knows the Bears as well as anyone in the city, wrote on February 27th that, according to multiple league sources, Logan Hall is projected to have a strong market in free agency. A front office executive from an NFC team told Biggs that Logan Hall is going to have a huge market, and Biggs added that while it is not a lock, the Bears will jump into that race if they have the cap space. Hall looks exactly like the type of player they would go after. This is exactly the kind of move Ryan Poles loves. Not the flashiest name in free agency, not the headliner on day one, but someone who shows up, does the job, and holds up week after week in the trenches. PFF has Hall ranked 39th out of 134 qualified interior defensive linemen and 32nd in total pressures with 32. That is not all pro, but it is definitely not average. And for a defense that under Dennis Allen needs more depth and versatility up front, Hall fits like a glove. Biggs broke it down. Hall would probably line up as a defensive end in Allen's system, where the ability to rush from the inside makes that player especially dangerous. The projected cost is around $10 million per year, which in today's NFL market for defensive linemen is a reasonable number for someone with that age and production. And if Chicago can create the cap room, mainly through the Edmunds move we just talked about, that money would be there to take a serious run at Hall. Now, let's dig into the departure a lot of Bears fans do not want to hear about, but probably need to accept. Nahshon Wright, the veteran corner who was absolutely crucial during that magical cardiac Bears run in 2025, looks like that time in Chicago might be coming to an end. Wright had a total boom or bust season in navy and orange, picking off 5 passes in spectacular fashion, sparking a bunch of those wild comebacks that had all of Chi-Town losing it. But there were also the times Wright got burned, giving up big plays that really tested Allen's defense. Here is the money problem. Wright made about $1.1 million in 2025, which was an absolute steal for that level of production. But SpotRack is projecting the next deal at around $16.7 million per year. That is a gigantic jump, and with the Bears' current cap situation, that is just not something they can or should be paying for a corner who is not a locked-in starter. Ask yourself this: does it make sense to drop $16.7 million on a corner who might grab 5 picks in a season, but can also get torched in the biggest moments? That is a tough sell. Not in this market, not with Chicago's current priorities, where there is a need for an edge rusher like Crosby, or at least another legit pass rush answer, where there is a flat-out hole at safety with nobody under contract, and where depth is needed all across the defense. Biggs and other insiders have already floated possible free agent replacements for Wright. Names like Tre'Davious White, whose last Bills deal carried a $1.56 million base and a $3 million cap hit, which is right in line with what Chicago paid for Wright. Other candidates include Trey Avery from Cleveland, Asani Samuel Jr. from Pittsburgh, who has already been on the Bears' radar before, and Corey Ballentine from Dallas. None of these are superstar names, but these are solid players who could do the job at a manageable price. The reality is that Wright will always have a place in Bears history for what was done in that special 2025 season. Those interceptions were a huge part of the identity of those Bears, a team that never quit, stealing games nobody believed they could win. But pro football is a business, and in this business, cap space rules everything. With all the moves Chicago has to make this offseason to keep building on that magic, Wright is probably going to be on a different roster before March is over. Here is the bottom line. These 3 moves, the possible Crosby trade, The Edmunds deal to free Cap and the search for a new corner while Logan Hall is evaluated as a piece on the defensive line are all part of the same puzzle Ryan Poles is putting together right now. It is all connected. Every move depends on the others. And if Poles hits this right, the 2026 Bears could be a totally different team and a much more dangerous one than the group that already had us losing our minds in 2025. Because Day Bears are not done, Chicago does not play around, and this Navy and Orange fan base deserves to be firmly in the conversation with the best in the NFC. Stay locked in because the biggest part is still coming. We just broke down 3 storylines that have the power to completely reshape the Chicago Bears heading into the 2026 season, and now I want to know exactly what you think about each one. First, MAXX Crosby. This is the one that has me the most fired up and honestly splits the fan base right down the middle. Some fans want Poles to make the swing of a lifetime and bring Crosby to town no matter the cost. Others think giving up 2 first-rounders plus players is way too much for a team that is still building, so I am throwing it right at you in the comments. Would you pull the trigger on that MAXX Crosby deal even if it costs 2 first-round picks? Yes or no, and tell me why. I want to read every single take. Second, Tremaine Edmunds. The news that 3 teams are interested in the linebacker completely changed things for a lot of fans who thought this was going to be a straight cut with 0 return. I think Poles has a real shot at pulling some value out of a situation that looked like a total loss while also freeing up those $15 million in cap that are basically pure oxygen for what is coming. So tell me, do you think the Bears can actually land a 3rd rounder or maybe even a little more in an Edmunds trade? Drop your prediction in the comments. 3rd, Logan Hall and Nahshon Wright. The idea of Hall possibly coming in while Wright is probably heading out says a lot about how Poles is thinking this defense rebuild through. Hall is a key piece up front, Wright replaced with cheaper options in the secondary, and cap flexibility kept intact. So here's the question, is Hall the type of free agency move the Bears should be making? Or do you think Poles should chase a bigger name on the defensive line? Throw your favorite targets down below. Now, beyond the headlines, I want to say something straight from the heart. This channel exists because of you. For every fan who gets up at 6 in the morning to watch a game from anywhere in the world where there is a Navy and Orange soul, for everyone who rode out the Trubisky years, who suffered through the Nagy mess, who watched Roquan Smith walk out with a broken heart but still never dropped that Monsters of the Midway flag, you are this community, you are this family. If you want to be part of this family that lives and breathes Da Bears every single day, hit that subscribe button right now. It is free, it is quick, and I promise you every Bears story we break down here is going to hit your screen before it shows up anywhere else in Spanish on the internet. Turn on the notification bell so you do not miss a second of what is coming, because with free agency opening on March 11th, this is just getting started. Smash that like button if you think the Bears should go all in for MAXX Crosby. Share this video with that friend who bleeds Navy and Orange and still has no idea everything that is going down in this wild offseason, and drop a number 1 in the comments if you have been riding with the Bears since way before it was trendy, and a number 2 if you are new to the fan base but already feel that Navy and Orange running through your veins. This is our season. This is our moment. Bear down, Chicago. See you next time.